Hey, what's up, guys? Rickshon, right back at it. Rickshon's Music Talk, episode 3. This one, I want to talk about sampling, right? Sampling is a big part of music now, as we all know. It really kind of got its thing going around like the late 1970s. You know what I'm saying? I think the first person that did it was back in like the 1940s. Pierre, like Schaefer, I think the person's name was, and he was, I guess, like stringing together different sounds that people played live, and then he kind of put it all together, and it was crazy. It didn't really sound as well as he say, but that was really probably the first conception of probably what sampling was. But the real sampling, as we know it now, kind of happened in the late '70s with DJs, you know what I mean, mixing break beats and all that stuff, taking break beats from songs and looping them. You know what I mean? But sampling today is really huge, like in music in every genre now, not just hip hop, R&B, pop, folk. You know what I mean? Like metal, all like people are just sampling all over the place, right? And in this landscape, like I talked about in the past 2 episodes about being indie and what's that's like. I think one of the biggest things you can have as an asset as an indie person is your catalog, right? Like making your catalog, I think, as vast as you can of quality music. I'm using the term quality music because I don't want people just thinking like, oh, I'm just put some shit together and like I just make 100 songs or whatever, 100 sounds. Or nah, it actually put your foot in it. Actually try, and you know what I mean. Then you'll look up if you got your head down, you're working. You look up and realize like, hey, I got like 300 songs, like I got 400 songs, or I got 500 songs. Like you know what I mean? Like you didn't realize. You know what I'm saying? Like so. I think building your catalog is a really, really big thing. And I think, it can lead to residual stuff because as we get more and more further into sampling, right, it's going to get harder to sample the big names, the household names, the big time records that everybody knows. You know what I'm saying? Because you got these artists that are selling their catalogs for 500, 300, 200 million dollars. Like Tina Turner and Bob Dylan, I think their catalog's worth like 300 million. Bruce Springsteen, I think his is worth like 500 million. Excuse me. Phil Collins, along with the part of Genesis, the band he was in, where he was like writing the songs, like that together with his own solo career is worth like 300 million. So you got, these people are, they're paying big bread for these big name catalogs. So if you're going to try to sample from these catalogs, it's going to cost you something because they gotta get their money back. You know what I mean? Like they're writing a check out for these people for 9 figures. They gotta get their money back somehow. You know what I mean? Whether they own the rights to it in perpetuity or it's a leasing situation, because they do have leasing situations where you can sell your catalog to somebody for like 30 years, like a mortgage almost, like kind of where it's like for 30 years they got it, and then when the 30 years is up, they got to give it back to you, no matter what happens with it. So it's on them to kind of like try to make the most out of get that 300 mil they just gave that person, get it back, or double some or whatever, or triple. You know what I mean? The reason why I think a lot of people, because people probably wonder what will make somebody that has an extensive catalog like that want to sell their catalog, right, to somebody else. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because there's a story that Lupe Fiasco told, like I think like I want to say like a year ago. He was on Hot 97. He was up there and he was talking to Ebro, and at the time when he was talking about when he was a younger artist, he said at the time he was talking to Lior because they were starting to do the 360 situation and everything like that. That wasn't the just what his deal was when he originally signed at Atlantic, and he was talking to Lior Cohen about getting his masters, right. And Lior made like a kind of like a sly, funny comment, but it was kind of like he was kind of teaching him something at the same time, but it was like his way of doing it, like which was kind of like arrogant. And he was like, "Your masters, what you want it for? You gonna put it in a suitcase and walk around and carry it?" You know what I'm saying? Like, like you know what I'm saying? So, and that was kind of like, what you mean by that? Like, but what he meant was like, if you don't know what to do with your masters, what's the point of having it? You know what I'm saying? Like, and Jay-Z like made a point of saying it himself. He's like, you could either have, because people ask him, why would you sell 50% of this and you had 100% of it? And he was like, look, I've maxed out what I could do with what I have at my own limit and capacity. So if there's another person that could take it further than me, which brings me more, residual income, why not give them a piece? You know what I mean? So would you rather have 100% of nothing or 50% of something? You know what I'm saying? I think that's the attitude that a lot of artists have. Like, if you ever made because here's the thing, like, making connections, and I think across the board are different. Like you can have all the music connections in the world. Like you can have Quincy Jones on speed dial. You can call up Jay. You can call up Beyonce. You can call up Dr. Dre. You can call up Jimmy Iovine. You can call up this person, that person, L.A. Reid, whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean you can call Lionsgate. Doesn't mean you can call Disney or Paramount. You know what I'm saying? Like you might know these people here in this arena, but you don't know these people over here in this arena. You know what I mean? This arena is a whole different like platform of stuff that's going on because everybody needs music in business. No matter what you do in business, you need music. Whether you're doing an ad, commercial, because everybody does marketing for their business. Marketing is literally part of business 101. No matter what type of business you're in, you could be selling socks. You might have to do some content to sell your socks. It helps to sell your socks if you got some music in the background while you're talking about your socks. Like nobody wants to listen to you talk dry about your socks. You know what I mean? Like trying to pitch it to them. Like music helps to pitch stuff sometimes. And if you don't know these companies, if you don't know these big companies, Johnson and Johnson, if you don't know, Pfizer or whoever these companies are, because even they have music in the background. It might be light. It might be just a piano or it might be a couple chords, but that was still something that somebody had to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, or something that somebody already played before in the past and they heard it and they wanted to lease it from them. You know what I mean? So like, I think it pays to have connections across the board. And some people can't make all the connections like everywhere. So this is why you end up selling your catalog to somebody that probably does have their hand in everything because they're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. And I think that's why people are, selling their catalogs. So what does that do for sampling, right? What it does for sampling is like, it makes it harder, I think, for you, the artist that's trying to sample somebody that you might admire or a song that really inspires you, or you just heard something for the first time. You thought, yo, this is dope. Like, who is this? Like, and then you realize who it is. You got an idea to, artistically to try to flip it and do something with it. And then you come to find out they don't even own it. It's like company such and such. And they're telling you they want $12,000 to clear the sample. And you might have used about a good 35, 40 seconds of the song. That's probably a 5-minute song from 1990, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the 12 grand to actually clear it. Are you going to make the 12 grand once you put the song out? You know what I mean? Like, as an indie person, that's what goes to your mind. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the big contraptions that's happening in the business is like, indie is becoming more structured than it's ever been. I think more indie people are becoming more business savvy because you have to be. Like, you really don't have much of a choice. Because if you're not like becoming business savvy from the indie side, then you're just a hobbyist. You just do music because it's a hobby. Like, you know what I mean? Which is nothing wrong with that. Like, that's how we all started in the beginning, just doing music because we love to do it. We didn't really think about trying to make a living from it. But now we're in a era where you can try to make a living from it. You know what I mean? And now it makes it more accessible for anybody to try to make a living from it because of the internet, because of podcasts, because of the content that you have to create now to kind of push yourself and sell yourself to people. Because people are buying into you, the person, right? You know what I mean? So now I think that comes with sampling too. Like, if you do have an extensive catalog, I think it will behoove you as a creator to keep marketing yourself any way you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, people try to call it like clout chasing or whatever. And I just think that's a deterring word that people use to try to deter you. You know what I'm saying? That's just my opinion. Like, because everything is revolved around clout, so to speak. You know what I mean? To be a president, you got to have clout. You know what I mean? Like, people got to know you. They want to vote for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're trying to be, chief of police or something like that, people got to know you. They're able to want to vote for you. You know what I'm saying? When you want to be class president of high school or class president at your university, like, people got to know who you are. So you got to sell yourself to people so people can, gravitate to what you're doing. So how is clout a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody just wakes up and just gets clout. You know what I mean? Nobody just has clout handed to them. They got to earn it, thus chasing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's part of what happens and what you need to do as a creative person. Even if you're not a person that does music, if you're somebody that just does like a talk show or something like that, like, you never know. Somebody that's a producer might hear something you say on a talk show and be like, yo, that's a dope insert I could use in this record for this over here. And they might hit you up, a person that doesn't make music at all, and ask you, yo, can I sample this 1 minute stretch where you were talking about blah, 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 because this works great for this song concept I got. Just like that, you on a song. Just like that, you getting royalties. And just like that, you getting pub. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it pays to have an extensive catalog and to make yourself, and if you can, as an indie person, try to own at least 100%. Well, try to own 100% to at least 80% of the record. You know what I mean? Like 50, all right, cool. If it's 50, it's 50 that you own, but try to own at least 80 to 100% of it, because it makes it so much easier, especially when it's good quality music. Because now these big companies, as I said in a previous episode, I believe, like they're not trying to deal with the big machine company that has Tina Turner's catalog, and they're like, yo, like we want to use such and such. They're like, oh yeah, you can use that, and, you know what I mean? It's gonna cost you about 55,000. And they're like, all right, and then you got to jump through all these hoops. They slide you 18 pieces of paper that you got to sign for this and that, and then you can't have it over here, you can't have it in this country, you can't do, you know what I mean? There's all this different stuff that goes into it. They rather just deal with you, the indie person, directly that owns all the stuff. You can say, hey, look, I would like to have blah, 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 blah on the front side, X amount of points on the back side. If it's going to, if your music is going to a movie, you'll probably want points. You know what I mean? Points are percentages. You know what I mean? Like you probably ask for like 1% or 2% or something like that on what the movie ends up rolling out, and that could be very beneficial for you on that side. Like you might think it was only 1 or 2%, Rick. It depends on what the movie is. You know what I'm saying? If it's a Marvel movie and they want to use your music, I think 1 or 2% is gracious. Like that's a nice come up for you, especially if you're somebody that's indie, because you're not a millionaire already, unless you are an indie person that's a millionaire. There are a lot of indie people that are millionaires, low key. You know what I mean? I don't mean to be dropping a dime or nothing like that, but there are a lot of indie people that are like up something crazy. They got more money than the artists you probably see on TV or on charts. You know what I mean? Because they own everything. They have their own situation lined up. And so when they stream or when they sell merch, all that stuff is going directly to them. They're not splitting the pie with no big corporation that's taking 75, 80%. Right? So getting into the whole sampling side of it, right? The more stuff you put out, the more chances you can have yourself be sampled. I remember I was and I think we're all guilty of this. I think as a creative person, I think after you do a certain amount of work, you want to get an inkling of how much you've done, like kind of. You know what I mean? So you'll Google yourself to see like what comes up, to see how much work you're putting in, to see how is it getting filtered out to the public. And I think I saw this is like probably 2 years ago. I saw that like somebody had like 3 or 4 records that I did from my Anime Shine like instrumental project, the one that has the cartoon me with like the robots on there. That's more like electronic house type of album. And somebody in Russia like sampled it. Like I guess he was like a rapper like in Russia, and he had like the melodic rap style that they kind of do now. So I guess he probably was a young guy. You know what I mean? And that was different. Like the stuff was there for me to listen. Like whatever he put out, like I guess he put it on a forum for people that are in Russia that like listen to hip hop or whatever. And I checked it out, and I'm like, yeah, I could hear like the original stuff that I did, that he like flipped and added like different drums to it, and he put his own spin and take. I didn't know what he was saying because he was saying it in Russian, but it seemed like it was kind of flowing with the beat, so he was rhyming on beat. And I was like, that's kind of dope. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's crazy. And like to me, that was kind of surreal, like a surreal moment to hear like, yo, somebody actually sampled me and they actually like did something like new. Because being on one side where you're always sampling other people is one thing, but then when you find out somebody actually sampled you, and it's like, that's dope. I get it. I can see why James Brown was like, man, go ahead, fam. Like, I want to use the drums. Go ahead, use them drums. You know what I mean? Like James Brown ain't care. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's dope when you can inspire somebody to want to do something creative. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and I was just like, I was only probably like at that point in time, I think I was like what 3. I might have been 3 projects in. Like I mean? I think I just finished working on the Gaia project with Black Cactus Beats. Shout out to Black Cactus, man. She doing her thing. She out there in LA. So that was cool to see that somebody like ran into my catalog for what it was at that time. So now my mind started rolling like, yo, if I got even more stuff put out there, how much more times would that happen? if I put myself in different situations, like documentaries, like podcast intros, like, commercial ads, whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I put myself out there even more and just spread the table, how much more will I get sampled, right? And the whole thing is, all right, cool. Getting sampled is a great feeling, but you gotta remember the business side of it too, because you gotta make it so that they can find you. And because some people do business the right way, some people just do it for the love of music. Like that guy in Russia, I don't think he made any money from that. He was just putting it up on the forum. I guess he was just expressing himself. So I didn't really care. Like, he's like, all right, cool. He's just putting it out there for music. But on the business side, you have to remember that some people will reach out to you that do real business of like, yo, this is dope. I want to use this. How can I use this? And you have to make yourself accessible so they can actually hit you up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta have a .com. When you have your .com be funneled to your email address so they can email you. I'm like, yo, I heard blah 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 blah. I want to know how much it would cost to blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Or have, on your .com, have your Instagram up there, have your Facebook or whatever the main things that you like to use to be on social media, your YouTube, stuff like that. Make it accessible for people so they can find you and they can sample it the right way, and you can get conversation or you can get credit or whatever. Because when you sample, you're supposed to get credit, whether people notice or not. Like, when you get sampled, like, they're supposed to credit you on whatever the new thing is, because your old thing helped make the new thing. That's why I give a big shout out real quick to TrackLib. The TrackLib, is a site where they have their own music catalog. They bought catalogs from people that like Ray Charles. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to people that's in China that made music from 1970, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and the thing about them is, like, you can sample anything from their catalog. Originally, you had to pay, like, it was like a tier. It was like an A, B, C tier. I think I talked about before on here. Now they switched it up. It's like a whole new, like, format. It's like a light, like, it's like a light premium, like, then it's like a master. Where now, because before, the old thing, you had to pay them like a bunch of money, depending on what tier you were sampling, because every song was put in a certain tier. Some songs were A tier, B tier. And I guess it's the notoriety of the artist that you're sampling. That's what made the tiers A, B, and C. But now with TrackLib, how they're doing it is like, if you just pay the premium or the master monthly subscription or yearly subscription, annual, you don't have to actually pay to have the record cleared. You automatically get it cleared when you register the new song. So when you create whatever you're creating and you go register it because you're putting it out professionally, automatically they'll clear it for you. And they'll give you, the information you need to actually put it up there so that it doesn't get flagged on like SoundCloud or Spotify or Apple Music. I'm like, that's crazy. That's dope. They did that. Now that kind of opens the landscape for people to go crazy, because a lot of times you get deterred as a producer, like, all right, this is dope. I know what I want to do to this record. I know I want to flip this a certain way and do something. But then you like, if I pay to clear this joint, can I actually get it played somewhere? Can I give it to somebody and actually do something with it? Because one of the worst things that can happen is you make a beat, you clear the beat yourself, then you give it to an artist and they sit on it. And I got you, man. I'm gonna put it out. You know what I'm saying? I'm working on something right now, dude. Like 2 years roll by and you just like, all right, bro, what's up? Like, cause I just paid to have this joint, so we wouldn't have to worry about nobody shutting it down, and you just sitting on the beat. With TrackLib, you don't gotta worry about that now. Now you can just make stuff at your leisure, send stuff out to people. If a dude hits you back like, yo, I just made a record to the such, I'm like, where? Which one was that you made? Because you have to have some type of organization. You know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, when I sample stuff, like if I'm sampling off a TrackLib, I'll actually write down the original record that I sampled so I can go find it later to clear it, just in case, like somebody does use it and it's like, all right, well, hold up, bro, we can't put it out yet because I sampled such and such. Let me go now with the new system. We don't got to put up $50, $500, $1,500. Now we just got to go, yo, register the song, PRO, register the song on your the DPS distribution things you're working on, whether it's United Masters, TuneCore, etc., SoundCloud, you know what I mean, like BeatStars, register it over there, and then we good to go. Like, well, you know what I mean, then we can put it out and let everybody know what's up with it. So I think that's a major like help kit, and I think it just helps me personally too. I think it helps, like, if you're out and about in like your local area, like where artists are that are making music, especially instrumentalists, like people that make like music with instruments. I would definitely try to get in like touch with them, like and actually start like really linking with them because then you can sample them right there. Have them just come to the studio and play whatever it is right there. You know what I'm saying? Get the information so you can credit them on the project, on the record, or whatever it is later. But yeah, I think it's dope to have that as a resource. I think that's one of the most underestimated things I think in sampling right now, especially from like a producer standpoint, is like how many producers have instrumentalists in their pocket. Like when you need something done, like you need something played, or you have an idea for something, and you don't play that well yourself. Can you call a piano player up and have them come rock out real quick and do something for you? Can you call a bass guy? Do you have a bass guy? Do you call the person that plays the guitar? You know people that play different horns, somebody that plays a harp or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think a lot of producers nowadays have instrumental. I think like there's like almost a split in the community, I feel like, of like the instrumental people and then like the people who just do like computerized like beat making. Like they don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause every time I go out and I go to different events and I see like people that, it's almost crazy, like people that play instruments almost don't want to tell people they play instruments. Like I was so surprised that I saw a couple producers that, you know, make beats where we all make beats now, but they actually can play. They can actually play something. I'm like, why you didn't say anything? Like, you know, yeah, let's use that. Like, if you can, let's incorporate that on this. Like, they're like, oh, okay, serious? I'm like, yeah, why not? Like that, you play an instrument. Like, you know what I mean? I'd rather sample you, like the person that I know, than sampling somebody I don't know and have to deal with all the backlash or whatever the hoopla is going to be trying to get through there, trying to put it out. You know what I mean? So I think like, you know, have some people in your bag that can play an instrument, especially instruments that you like to use. Like you got a real drummer, use the real drummer. Yeah, I got 1,000 drum one shots. I got 1,000 drum one shots. I got 1,000 snares, kicks, toms, open hat, closed hat, cymbal crashes, whatever. You know what I mean? But that's not the same as the dude that's just sitting right there and he's just that's a whole different thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole different feel. And you might be in the studio and you have an idea for a drum fill or a sporadic type of drum fill, and it's like if you can't play that yourself, or you can't even do that on the drum pad the way you want to do it, now you're spending all this time trying to chop and cut and paste to try to get it, and it might even sound robotic. Or you can just tell your man, yo, you think you can do this? He'd be like, oh, I know what you're talking about. You just go crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, that helps the record, it helps the vibe keep going. So I think always have instrumental people in the cut for situations. I remember, not to be too long, but I remember, like Jake One, he's a producer. He's known for working with a lot of people, 50 Cent, Future, Drake, J. Cole. Like he did the theme song to John Cena. Like if you're a wrestling fan, you listen to wrestling like that, like that was him. He did that beat, you know. And he talked about how like he had a hard time one time. He made a record. He had a hard time trying to clear it. He just couldn't get it cleared. So he had his mans come through and play the part. So his man came through, heard the part, got the sheet music, replayed it himself. Because once you replay it, now you don't have to get it cleared by that person over there that did the original, because this is his interpretation of it. See how that works? You know what I mean? It might sound exactly the same. You know what I'm saying? He might do it on a Rhodes piano where that was on a grand. You know what I mean? Or he might do it on an electric. You know what I mean? Like, but it's his interpretation. He played that with his fingers. So now you don't have to worry about getting sued or whatever. So keep that in mind. Like if you're a person that likes to sample jazz a lot, or you like to sample like funk, try to find some people that play the instruments that make up those sounds. Just in case you have an idea for a record and it's like, there's no way I'm gonna get this clear because I can't even get in touch with such and such that did this. Let me go see if I can get my man to replay this. Let me go find the sheet music, get my man to replay this, sample him, and then do the chops and everything like I did with the original. Just do it over. It's a labor of love anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, you love making music, why not? But yeah, you know, I want to thank you guys just for rocking out, man. You know what I mean? I'm building this thing up, trying to get it going. And I just like, you know, I like talking about music. That's why I kind of did this. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I wanted to be really personal to start out first. You know what I mean? So I can get comfortable, like really talking to you guys about it before I start bringing other people onto the show to talk about music, just to get different perspectives. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's gonna happen down the road. You know what I mean? But right now, you know, I just want to keep it personal, like me to y'all, person that's watching. You know what I mean? Look, by all means, in the comments, let me know what you think. How you feel about sampling? Like, do you feel like sampling is getting overdone? You know what I mean? Do you think maybe we should dial it back a bit? Go back to just doing more original, creative, spontaneous stuff? Or do you think, we should just keep going, buck wild? Because now it's like, you don't got to just sample one genre. You can sample whatever and just try to figure it out. You know what I mean? Just make something new. Like, it's ill to hear somebody sample something that sounds nothing like what their actual records sound like. Like, for instance, if you ever heard the Hoop Life instrumental album that I put out last year, the last record on there is called Retirement, right? It's by Peter Atkins. He's like a Philly soul singer from like the 70s. And if you go listen to his catalog, and I think Handle With Care is the actual song that I sampled, called Handle With Care. It sounds absolutely nothing like the record I made. And to me, that's what sampling is about, when you can't even tell that that's what that was from. It's cool when you use something and you like, oh, I know where this is from. You know what I mean? Like, you remember, like, the bop. Like, and it's like, oh, they just did some drums, they added some more bass to it, sped it up a little bit, or they slowed it down. But when you hear a record and it's like, yo, this is nice. And then you will hear the original, like, this is the same thing. Like, and then you hear the pieces that I did use, like, vocally, when he said what he said on the record. You're like, yo, that's crazy. To me, that's what sampling is about, when you can't even tell where it came from right away. And then you go listen to the original, you like, yo, he killed this. Yo, she killed this. You know what I mean? So let me know how you feel about sampling, man. Like, do you like hearing, like, just the blunt right in your face, I know exactly where this is from? Or do you like the surprise of, I like this record, what did he sample? And then you find out what the original is, you like, yo, this ain't even the same thing, but the OG thing is dope too. Like, this is crazy. How did he even flip this like this? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that like button. If you haven't already subscribed, by all means, subscribe to this channel. Rickshon, aka Rick Harrison, that's me. Producer, writer, composer, lyricist, all that good stuff. Content creator now, I guess. You know what I mean? That's what we doing. Appreciate you guys for checking in. Stay blessed, stay cool, keep making that music, man. Yeah.
For all time,